Hey there, folks, this is Walt for Walt Manga Update during the date of March 19th, 2012. Oh, such a week. Such a week. Two chapters I guarantee I'm spending over 5 minutes talking about because, wow. Just wow, this was an interesting week. Bleach and Toriko are not here. They are absent this week. But, of course, we got all your other favorite series, except Hayate. That came out too late, so it's not in this episode. It's gonna be next week. Oh, well, fuck it. Yeah, we gotta get into this. It's almost impossible to decide which of the two big topics this week I want to talk about first, but in the end, I decided I gotta start this off right. I gotta start this off good, and that means I'm starting this week off with The World God Only Knows, Chapter 181, Cheers. Oh, the ending to this chapter. The ending to this chapter. Oh, this was a crazy chapter. But let's start from the beginning. So, last week we left off with a member of Vintage finding a Yumi and Kima, and we all think, oh, that's gonna fuck some shit up. But no, it turns out Nora comes in to save the day, chasing off the member of Vintage, while Kima leads a Yumi away, and Chihiro, showing some rather weird cooperation, actually helps get them to a safe place. And so everything's going alright. Chihiro and Yumi and Kima, they're all okay together. They're safe from Vintage. And then, you're gonna love this, folks. You're gonna love this. What happens is, Chihiro recorded Kima talking about capturing a Yumi, and now she knows that he's just playing a game with her to try and save the world. Only they don't know he's trying to save the world. Oh, that was brutal! But I do have something to bring up. And it's very simple. It's what I've been talking about for, I think the last almost 10 weeks now, which is basically, how is this a surprise to a Yumi? Because in chapter 167, I bring this up once again, we confirmed that she heard everything Kima said to Chihiro. So she already knows he manipulates women by playing a game with them. So how is this that big a surprise to her? But I think the biggest part of this chapter was just the complete reversal of Chihiro's face, because she's all happy, and then all of a sudden she just goes, "You do know Kima's a lying bastard, don't you?" Personally, I think the artwork could have shown that better. I definitely think we didn't need a few panels that were there, but overall it was still a great chapter. It definitely leaves with an amazing cliffhanger. Oh my god, this was a fantastic chapter. This may have been the best chapter of the week, folks. This was, wow. And now, before we move on to another chapter, though, I want to talk about two possible endings that me and a friend discussed. I was talking about this chapter with my friend, Yirocha, who, his blog is down there in the link. You should go check that out after the video. It's awesome. Me and him were talking about possible endings, and basically, I like the ending he came up with, and he likes the ending I came up with. And the ending he came up with is where this causes a Yumi and Chihiro's friendship to kind of be restored, because they've been doubting one another because of Kima's influence. And so, because of this, because they realize Kima's a lying, cheating bastard, they make up their friendship, and the angel's powers awaken through that. And then they realize, oh fuck, he was telling the truth. He is trying to save the world. Oops. And so, basically, in a way, I think that really would work out. I wouldn't know how exactly a Yumi's angel is supposed to get stronger, since I don't think after that there'd be any way for... Well, actually, no, because there would be a way for a Yumi to fall in love with Kima, because he's doing all of this for... He's doing all this, he's going out of his way to try to save everyone else, even though, really, he's just in it to make sure he can spend the rest of his life gaming, but she doesn't know that, and so, she could find him manly and heroic because of that, and sort of feelings could spawn from that. And I really like that ending, and he actually likes my ending there, which is like, I'm saying, okay, apparently the entire planet's been screwed, and Kima dies because of it. This is my ending. Kima dies, and then they realize, oh fuck, he was trying to save the world. We got Kima killed. And then, in a fit of raw emotion, Ayumi's like, I'm so sorry, and then kisses him, and the angel's power awakens, and all 6 angels are together, and they're having this huge fight with Vintage, and then, boom! And then I don't know what would happen after that, but it'd be cool. And that was my ending. And like, and he's like, well, this is the world God only knows. That's a amazingly stereotypical ending, so I don't know what's gonna happen, but I want his ending to happen. I don't know if he wants my ending to happen or something else, but fuck, I know that I can't wait to read the next chapter. This was a great chapter. And now, I said we had 2 big chapters to talk about this week, and this is the second, and the last one was big because it was just a really good ending to a chapter, and just, it really built up the arc as it's been moving along. This chapter is big because of how bad it was. But first, I'm sure you've all read it's Hunter x Hunter, chapter 340, special assignment. But first, let me send out congratulations to Hunter x Hunter, because it's going to get a full-length film. I'm sorry, give me a moment to figure out my words. It's going to get a full feature. Fuck. I can't talk. I can't fucking talk. Of course I can't talk. It's getting a movie. Fuck it. It's getting a movie. It's going to be in theaters. There you go. Fuck it. And honestly, that's great, because I think Hunter x Hunter will definitely transition into a movie very well. But there was also a problem with this week's chapter, as the series is going on hiatus. And here's the thing. Before I explain the chapter... Actually, let me explain the chapter first, then I'll explain my problem. So, this chapter, the 12 Zodiacs are meeting up for this big meeting where... Because apparently... Okay, so, remember when I said that apparently the big thing was to go to space, and here's the thing. It was implying so heavily that there was just something. There was just something beyond. Something that could not be reached, that he wanted to reach, that Jin's father wanted to reach. And, of course, considering they were standing at the top of a world tree, which was supposed to grow so big that it stretched into the sky, beyond the sky, the only thing we could assume was he meant he was going to space. That's not the case, however. Apparently, he was talking about the Lost Continent. Apparently a continent that, whenever somebody goes to this continent, is sometime in history, catastrophe happens all over the world. And so they're like, hey, fuck superstition. This new country that I can't remember the name of, I'm sorry, is like, fuck that. Fuck superstition. We're gonna explore this place. You know why? I got big balls. That's why. That's literally the only reason. I got big balls. Fuck superstition. And so, based on this, there's this guy leading the expedition, and he claims to be Netaro's son. For those of you who maybe don't read Hunter x Hunter, who for some reason listens to this, Netaro was the leader. Was basically the leader of the Hunter Association. He was the big boss of everything, and he died during the Chimera Ant arc. He set off a bomb set within his heart that was basically the whole end of the arc, that killed off the leader. So some guy claiming to be his son comes out, and get this, his name is Beyond Netaro. What? Who the hell names their kid that? Who the hell names their kid Beyond? Honestly, though, when I read that, I kept thinking, Beyond the mysterious beyond. If you get that, you have watched way too many Land Before Time sequels. Same as me, though. So, what happens is they're all saying, we are going to the world. We don't care who gets in our way. If you want to come with us, very well. If you don't want to come with us, that's cool too. But you get in our way, I'm gonna fuck your shit up. And there's like this whole group of 12 guys who are with his team, basically setting up a fight between the 12 Zodiacs and these 12 guys. Only it's not, because the series is going on hiatus. Yeah. The series sets up. Okay, so let's look over the series of events. Last chapter, we had this huge chapter just using the raw art of the series to express that all the characters are getting on with their lives and that everything has been resolved with the last arc. And that's not when you set the hiatus. No, you go ahead, have another chapter setting up this whole big fucking arc that's gonna have all these amazing fights, and of course Jin and his father are gonna be in it. I'm sure a bunch of characters that we know from the series is gonna come back for this. And you go on hiatus? What? No! No! Oh God, no! You fail! You fail horribly. I'm sorry, but this was a horrible time to put the hiatus. If it's the work on the movie, then okay, tell us. I would accept that. But he didn't even set a time limit for when he come back. And this is actually interrupting the longest string of Hunter x Hunter chapters to date. Because this is a series notorious for going on hiatus. And, I'm sorry. Overall, it would be a good chapter, but in the end, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because it had to go on hiatus at exactly this moment. It couldn't wait. It couldn't just go on hiatus, you know, last chapter. Last chapter would have been the best time to go on hiatus, but sadly, no. Oh well. Overall, like I said, a good chapter, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. One Piece, chapter 660, Royal Shichibukai, Trafalgar Law. I think that's how, Warlord Law. Fuck it. So what happened this chapter? Well, some more back-to-back between Law and Smoker, as it seems they're going to fight. Excuse me, I had to belch. I went to go get a drink in between recordings. Oh no, I'm breaking the fourth wall and revealing that I record these in segments. You already fucking know. Yeah. So anyway, Law and Smoker, of course, going back to back as Chopper and Nami figure out that the children have been kidnapped, and as they try to escape, they wander into a freezer full of dead bodies. It's too early to know for sure, but if I had to make a prediction, I don't know. I have to think that that they've been there for a lot longer than Law has. I don't think Law is the one who locked them away. I just don't. I don't have any real reason why I don't think he did, but he could have. I mean, they might be his test subjects for all I know. I just kind of don't think that he did it. Anyway, so they rejoin Frankie and Sanji off screen, and as Law and Smoker are still having a back-to-back with all the tension building up, all of a sudden, the children and Frankie come out singing the amazing Frankie Tank! And they're all just doing all wacky kinds of shit, and then they see, oh fuck, Marines! And they run back inside, gonna go look for a back door. And everyone, including Smoker and Law, are just left completely speechless by what happened. They're just watching this going, This is so weird. There's literally like one Marine that says, I can't even count all the weird things. And so the chapter ends with Law attacking Smoker and his crew for apparently finding out that the Straw Hats are there. Does that mean he's a good guy or bad guy? I have no fucking idea. I'm also trying to figure out, was it last week or this week? No, it was last week that we saw those samurai facing down Luffy's crew, so we haven't actually gotten back with Luffy's crew this week. So we don't need to talk about that. Overall, this was a very good chapter, and of course, Oda once again brought out some great color pages, with the Straw Hats napping around a nest of flying elephants, which, those need to exist in real life. Elephants need to fly. I don't know why, I just think that'd be really cool to ride a flying elephant. Dumbo! Yes, we must name all the flying elephants Dumbo. Yes. Anyway, overall, good chapter. Naruto, chapter 578, A Weakness of Despair. So, we've officially got this whole giant war coming to a climax with the three big fights: Naruto, B, Kakashi, and Guy versus the Masked Man, the five Kages versus Madara, and Sasuke and Itachi versus Kabuto, which answers my question from last week. Is that actually Kabuto? Anyway, so what happens this chapter? Well, we have about two broken up segments of Itachi and Sasuke. Basically, they're now going to team up against Kabuto because Sasuke wants to ask Itachi a bunch of questions, but he can't talk until he's dealt with the whole Kabuto situation. Which, by the way, badass line of the week, I think, has to either go to Madara asking, well, let me explain what happens with Madara first. Madara basically is like, oh, so you can heal any wound instantly. And they're like, it's not 5v1 because we're being cowards, it's because we want to win this war. And Madara's like, yeah, I know, it's cool. Clone Jutsu. 25 Madaras. 5 for each Kage. And he's like, it's not cowardly. You are the 5 Kages after all. So here's my question. Do you want these clones to use Susanoo or not? Like he's giving them a choice, and I love that. Basically showing off how much of a badass Madara is. Second line is Itachi. Kabuto is saying his jutsu has no weaknesses and no risks. And Itachi's like, I am that jutsu's weakness. Or no, I'm sorry, it was I am that jutsu's risk. Because he brought him back to life. So I'm not sure which line should go to who, which line is the most badass, but they were both pretty good lines. So overall, it's better. It's a better chapter than most. Still not really up there to where I'd say good, but it's definitely getting above okay. Reborn, chapter 377, Assault from the Darkness. Wow, a lot happened this chapter. Okay, so first what happened is Uni tries to make a prediction about this 8th new baby. I think they're called Archetype. I have never been able to get this right since I started featuring this series. The 8th baby. However, she suddenly is engulfed in pain, is what I basically want to say. She's engulfed in pain when she tries to see visions of this child, as in some kind of darkness takes hold of her. So already we know we're dealing with some serious shit. And then as they go to the hospital to see how the Simon family is, they find out that Chrome's internal organs have disappeared. And for those of you who, once again, are watching this even though you don't read the series, Chrome's inner organs don't exist. They are an illusion created by Maruko. Is it Morocco? Yeah, I think it's Morocco. I'm sorry. Morocco. So if he stops the illusion at any point, she kind of dies. Or is close enough to it. However, even so, Chrome is asking that she is put on the team as another member of Reborn's fighting team. However, Suna, of course, disagrees, considering her state. And the chapter ends with them being attacked by Vindice, even though the battle has already ended for the night. Now, already we know that Vindice is the Mafia prison. They're basically the people who, if you commit a crime within the Mafia, there's not a hit put out on you. There aren't people hunting you down, or there are people hunting you down. You're thrown in a special jail made to hold people that have like powers like Suna and Zanzas. And basically, the guards have to be pretty fucking powerful to figure that out. In fact, employing a special 8th element flame in order to do so. Which, basically, I don't think it's even supposed to exist. So that kind of sucks. That kind of really sucks. Since now we're basically... Well, actually, we're probably doing the most shonen thing this series can do, which is face off against an enemy that no one has any chance of beating. It's weird. Nah, it's not weird. That's actually normal for this magazine. Anyway, not a bad chapter at all. Especially the scenes with Chrome. That was actually pretty interesting. So overall, yeah, good chapter. Fairy Tail, chapter 275. I was gonna say 60, but I said 70, right? The Drunken Falcon. So, in this issue, Of course, with Fairy Tail having lost all of its first round matches, what are they to do? But drink themselves silly. And that is what happens. Literally, you have bypassers commenting, "They're the guild that lost?" You wouldn't tell based on the noise they're making. So what happens after that? Well, apparently we meet a fighter of Quattro Cerberus who is on par with Erza, who practices, and I love this, the drunken fist technique. That is awesome. That is just awesome that someone who can drink, Kana, who is like Fairy Tail's like expert on drinking, she can just drink anyone in the guild under the table, is on par with Erza, and I cannot wait for that fight. And in fact, even the king orders that those two fight next round, so that's actually pretty funny. Oh, and there is two other things I want to mention. First, I didn't realize this until I was talking about the chapter with someone, actually Yorocha again. When I think of romance in Fairy Tail, I categorize it under comedy, because that is always how they play romance in this series. I honestly can't think of a romance in this series off the top of my head that hasn't just been played for laughs yet. So, very different from like a series like Nisekoi or Bakuman that takes the time to build these really intense romances. And the last thing is the chapter ending, which ends on Chara telling, I forget her name, the old woman. I fucking can't remember her name. Tells her about the premonition, and that is the Castle of Fior, which I can't remember the name of that either, collapsing, and within the castle, Lucy singing. And I guarantee, knowing this series, this is going to turn out to be some weird fucking thing. Just weird fucking thing. But overall, an interesting chapter, good build-up for the fight to happen that's gonna come, I'm sure, mainly because the king ordered it, therefore I'm sure it's gonna happen. But definitely an interesting chapter. And next up is History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi, chapter 467, Ferengi Saga. It's actually spelled S-A-I-G-A, which might be pronounced differently, but I'm gonna say Saga for, basically for the sake of not losing my goddamn mind trying to pronounce this name correctly. So, you think Saga's gonna be a bad guy. He's kind of been built up as a bad guy. He's actually not that bad a guy. He puts a coat over Mew, whose clothes have basically been torn to nothing. He thanks Kenichi for protecting her, and then kicks all the asses of everyone trying to kill Kenichi and Mew, and then disappears when Sakaki comes bursting through the wall saying, "My disciple is safe. That means I'm gonna kick ass at full power! Pow!" That's basically what happens. And that's basically the whole chapter. It kind of makes me sad that John didn't exist, because I like that character. But, oh well. So, I guess the last thing to be resolved in this arc, sorry, I lost my ability to talk there for a moment. The last thing to be resolved in this arc will be the fight between Akira and Janazed. And personally, I think Janazed's gonna win that. It's sad, but I do think that's what's gonna happen. I think honestly, this is where Akira is going to die, and Sakaki is going to end up later getting revenge for him. That might be what happens, I don't know, but it just does seem the right way, because this is the guy that Mew's grandfather almost lost to. Like, it's always been said that he's the strongest fighter of all, that no one can touch this guy, and yet now we've kind of met two fighters that are on his level. And considering that basically, well, I think we can kind of build a hierarchy based on the information that's been given to us. Let's see. I would think that the little girl, the little Yomi girl's master and Mew's grandfather are on the same level. Janazed is under that because he did lose. And I think Akira and Sakaki are both on the same level, so I think they're under all of that. So, yeah, I think Akira's gonna lose. It's sorry to say, but I do think that's what's going to happen. But overall, this is about the chapter in question. This was a very interesting chapter, and I'm still looking forward to the conclusion of this last fight for the arc. Bakuman, chapter 171, Microphone and Script. So, the big conclusion to this huge arc is finally underway with Azuki Miho, I think I'm saying that right, where Miho finally will get in front of the microphone and audition for the part of... I can't remember the name of the lead in Reverse Eye, but that's not important because we need to talk about what actually happened this chapter. Basically, this whole chapter has been build up for this big event, this big televised audition of the part of... Actually, I think her name was Now, is the part they're auditioning for, but anyway... So, of course, we get to see a bunch of other actresses. We get to see a bunch of rivalries within the other voice actresses. And finally, we get to see some big names, a bunch of people who are saying Miho should not even be allowed here because of her connection. And, okay, I will say this. I was kind of wrong about this. Because I thought this was basically going to be, like, on the internet or something, but no, it's televised. Which I actually think is pretty cool. And, of course, I don't get why we're still sticking with this one computer guy. Like, we just have to know that he still has an evil smirk on his face as he's like, ha ha ha, she won't get the role, ha ha. It's, like, so weird. But anyway, of course, the internet is still talking about this in the stupidest way possible. But of course... When Miho, finally steps up to read, something bugs me about this. Because one of the other voice actresses comments that she's never seen such a clean script. Normally people write notes in it or something. I don't think I like this. Like, okay, I get the fact that it's already been confirmed that Azuki, she basically made all her notes in the manga. That's fine. That's understandable. What I don't get is, wouldn't you also write notes for the lines they may add for the anime? Yeah, folks. Okay, I have seen anime and manga that have different lines. Kenichi, History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi, has an entirely different first episode from its original manga. Where in the first episode, he goes to Rosenpaku in order to become stronger almost immediately before the karate fight, while in the manga, it takes him a whole volume in one fight before he finally gets up becoming the disciple of Rosenpaku. So you see, what if all of a sudden she started reading, she was auditioning for the part of Mew, but she started reading a part from the manga that wasn't in the anime. Whoops! So that's just basically my one complaint. That's not to say she didn't look through it just to make sure. That's just saying they should have been more clear. I think it would have been better if maybe it showed that she had a completely tattered and almost destroyed script because she had been using it so much. Or maybe even just that shown like she had gone through once just to make sure that she didn't have any extra lines she needed to know. But overall... not a bad chapter, better than last week's. And of course, we all know how this arc is going to end, so I can't really say there's any big build-up to this. Nisekoi, Chapter 18, Happiness. So, what happened this chapter in Nisekoi? Well, we're still continuing with the Suguni, and I am sad to say I think this will end up turning into a third love interest. And let me explain why. So this chapter, it starts out very simply by showing off Suguni. Sugumi. Am I even saying that right? Sugumi, yeah, I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, for some reason, a name like Sugumi sounds so fucking weird to me. Gee, I wonder why. Why me, an American, would find that name weird. Anyway... Sugumi showing off being a badass by assembling a gun from all its parts laid out in front of her blindfolded. That's pretty damn impressive. And basically, we get this whole thing where she's still watching Kurosaki and Ichijo to see, oh, are they actually worthy of each other and stuff, because she hasn't figured out that they're not actually dating yet. And so, while they're getting pet food for some animals at their school, Ichijo notices that Sugumi has this rather large bruise on her foot because Kurosaki forced her to wear girls' clothes again. Yeah, it's one of those characters. And because of this, Ichijo offers to... I'm sorry, I've been flustered all day. He decides to carry Sugumi, and of course they get into a talk about love, because after all, that's her job. She's supposed to be making sure that they're actually worthy of each other, and he says some things like, oh, so your real first love hasn't appeared before you yet. Well, I'm sure he will sometime, and that causes her now, anytime someone says his name, she gets very flustered, and even cannot assemble the gun like she was able to at the beginning of the chapter because of this. That leads me to believe that, yes, she is sort of turning into a third love interest. God damn it. I didn't want this. I definitely did not want this. We have such a good already romance going between Otonera and Kurosaki, and now we have to introduce a random third girl. I don't get it. Overall, though, it wasn't a bad chapter, just I don't like the whole new romantic love interest. Detective Conan, Chapter 810, Froth, Steam, and Smoke. So, once again, we get a little recap of what happened last chapter, how apparently all the aliases were created through the smoke of a cigarette, the steam from coffee, and the froth from a beer. Weird, but okay. So we're all holding tests. They're holding tests to see how long does it take for a cigarette to go out, the froth to go away from a beer, steam from a coffee, and they've all had different times. And so, while thinking of all these things, apparently there was mention of some dress up for apparently some police work, and Conan ends up realizing who the person is, who committed the crime, based off of this, because apparently Uncle Korogo, or Richard Moore as you probably know him in America, Richard Moore had told him about something like this before. So the chapter ends, and I hate this, on another 2 pages dedicated to making Subara, I believe his name was? Yeah, Subara, making him out to be Bourbon. Can we fucking stop this? Please! Just tell us who Bourbon is. We wanted to know for 200 chapters. Overall, it was a good chapter, but of course the ending, like any time they try to reveal who Bourbon is, it always bugs me. Beelzebub, Chapter 148, Izo Aiba. So, once again, another, I gotta say, bland chapter of Beelzebub. I honestly did not enjoy this chapter. So what happened this chapter? Well, we meet this child-raising badass known as Izo Aiba, who is apparently actually raising his baby sister. And of course, everyone from Oga's school has, like, seen it before, even when he flicks a guy so hard he sends him to the 2nd floor of the hotel. And so, of course, there's just a lot of banter back and forth. There's one random video game reference, and then the rest is kind of Aiba hitting on, Kuina, I believe her name was, the samurai chick, Kunida, Kuineda, I believe it's spelled, Kunida, I believe that's it, yeah, Kunida, and of course he's hitting on her, and of course later goes to ask Oga, if he can introduce them, even though they've already met. And then, of course, that chapter ends on Aiba's kid falling in love with Beelzebub. Brilliant. I'll admit, that was perhaps the best laugh this chapter got out of me. But we also end on the delinquents from Aiba's school going up against the delinquents from Oga's school, so I'm curious if that will revolve around a fight scene, and I can already see this arc ending in some big fight between Aiba and Oga, and it's gonna be some big thing. It still hasn't been revealed whether or not, Aiba's little kid, which, by the way, her name's Chi, it hasn't been revealed if she's actually his little sister or if it's a demon kid. Personally, I'd like to see a new demon kid. I think that'd make an interesting fight. The two of them going up against someone who knows who knows all their abilities because he's also mastered them. I think that'd be pretty cool. But other than that, if it just turns out to be a comedy arc, then if it keeps up at this rate, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this very much. Soul Eater, Chapter 96, The Battle for the Moon, Part 6. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in chapter name Purgatory. But anyway, we still need to talk about what happened this chapter, and this chapter can basically be split up into two parts. The first is Maka and Corona meeting up once again, and apparently Corona has officially decided, fuck rules, and has basically, she's gone insane. She's like, I killed my own mother, there's no way I can go back. Which personally, if I was Maka, I would have said, you killed Medusa? Sweet, we don't have to do it now. That would have been my total answer, and that was what I was thinking, like, oh, you killed Medusa? Awesome, we needed to do that. We totally need Medusa to die. That's awesome. You see, you are a good guy. I don't know. That would have been my response. I'm sorry. But like, Corona's like, I will twist the whole world until there are no more rules. I will bend it or something. And it was just like one of those insane rambling speeches. And just to show like he means business, one thing that was big about the first time they met her at this church, which that's actually where they met, at the church where they first met, is like, this door opened inward, didn't it? And she just smashes the door outward, and it's like, I don't follow rules well, and just flies off. And now she's heading toward the moon, which means Maka and the whole group's gonna head to the moon. And so now, the whole Battle of the Moon turns into a four-way bout. We have Team Medusa, Team Kishin, Team Shimigami, and Team what the fuck was their little kid team name? Sapori? Stapori, I think it was. Stapori. Fuck it, I don't remember. Anyway, speaking of on the moon, Justin Law is dead. Justin Law has been killed, and I think you just heard that motorcycle, I don't know. Justin Law has been killed, and of course the whole time he's still talking about anger, madness, insanity, even when he's just like half a head floating there. And I realized something during this chapter that I never really thought of as Soul Eater, but there's an adjective to describe Soul Eater just as well as well choreographed fights and good artwork. Preachy as all fuck. I'm not kidding. It's like, it's so preachy almost. It's awful. It's like, I can't think of a character that hasn't said something about all this insanity bullcrap. You're in a fucking battle manga. Just punch someone. But anyway, overall, definitely a good chapter. Very good. It was very good to see just how completely unhinged from reality Corona has become. And of course, Stein is still fighting for his sanity, so we still don't know how that'll go. But I think the big theme of this was rules and how people think of them, and Stein still thinks that the Shimigami's rules are to his favor, so I don't think he'll switch alignments yet. Kimi ni Todoke, Chapter 66. Okay, I want to do something different this chapter than actually talk about Kimi no Todoke, whatever the hell it's called. What happened this chapter was basically, I'm going to sum this up in about one sentence. A bunch of things get mixed up because the main characters won't talk to each other. There you fucking go. I'm sorry, but let me tell you something about romance stories and me. The easiest way to disinterest me in your romance series is if every fucking problem between the main characters could be solved if they would just talk to each other. Now, granted, I say that, and I hold this true to Kimi no Todoke. This does bug me about the series. However, it's handled in a way that I can still enjoy the story. Now, does that mean I just kind of have a love-hate relationship with this series? Yeah, actually, it does. I love the story, the characters are interesting, but I hate just the fact that nagging at the back of my fucking head there's this yelling voice saying, just fucking talk to him! Just fucking call her! Its whole bloody thing can be solved with one phone call! And I'll admit, there's a romance series right now that I'm reading called Hetakoi, and it's about this romance between a man and woman, and the reason they apparently can't be together is because the woman got drunk one day at a hot spring, and the guy ended up seeing her naked, like fully eagle spread naked. And because they go through these big events, they get together, they think they're going to get together, but they don't get together. And let me tell you why. Because neither of them will take a fucking moment to sit down and talk with one another. Neither of them will take the 2 seconds to talk to one another, even though at the point of the story where I'm currently reading, they want to both be together. They want to be with each other. They're both single. They want to be with each other. Neither of them will fucking talk to the other because apparently they have these stupid little disabilities where they can't talk in front of the person they like. Oh, fuck off. At least Sawato, she had some fucking problems with socializing. That's understandable. That's understandable why she won't talk to Kazehaya. I think that's his name. Kazehaya. That's why she won't talk to him. Now, also, there's another plot to this chapter that was very interesting, where the second love interest for Sawaho, which apparently is no longer her love interest, I didn't take the time to remember his name, I'm sorry, is falling in love with Awako, I think her name is. I can't fucking remember anyone's name in this series. I don't know, when I read a romance, I just immediately tune in to the main characters and everyone else around them can do whatever the fuck they want. There could be pies being thrown in the background if the scene's intense enough that I won't even care. But anyway, so apparently he's trying to get her to go out with him, but there have been some problems with boys in the past with her, so yeah. But, like I said, this could be solved with a fucking conversation. So there you go. I guarantee you, if next week I have to come on here and I have to say the series bugs me because they won't simply talk to each other, I may just drop this series because I'll have nothing else to say. And last but not least, Baby Steps, chapter 88 and 89. Oh my god, we're finally done with this. So what happened this round? Well, of course, the fierce battle between Maro and Alex is still continuing, and it continues all throughout chapter 88. It's not until chapter 89 that we really get something we can talk about. Apparently, Maro, in the very last leg of the match, strains his leg, and he can no longer play, but he's still ready to go all out just to see if he can win this match, because it's his last match of Florida. It's the last thing he can do, and so he goes to hit it. He goes to hit it, and he thinks he's going to get a perfect hit. He's going to get it out. He's going to get it in, and he's going to get the point, but Alex is able to get it. He still runs over, hits it. Alex hits it back, lobs it over his head. Finally, Maro falls back. There's nothing he can do, and it's out! He wins, and he gets scolded for playing with a strain. He didn't break his leg or anything, but he strained it, and he shouldn't have been playing. So Maro is finally able to leave Florida knowing that he can pull a victory out of his ass. Oh, God. Overall, 2 good chapters. 88 was kind of bland, nothing really worth talking about. 89 was very interesting, though, and definitely made up for it. Overall, both great chapters. Thank you all for joining me once again for Walt's Manga Update. Remember, new episode every Monday or Tuesday, depending on how much crap I have to do in real life. I try to get it out on Monday, but I swear it hasn't worked for the last 3 weeks. Go ahead and visit my blog for all these different updates. You got first impressions of games, reviews going up soon, YouTube video of the day where I get to just torture you all. I have fun with that. and just plenty more stuff. So, hey, thank you all for watching, and keep on reading. It's just a thing that happened, and it's meant to be funny. That's just always the way I see it. But anyway, what we are bringing... God damn it. I don't know if you hear that, but the dog's barking, and it's annoying as hell. It's like one of those... I guarantee it's a small dog. I can guarantee that just based on the fucking bark. Oh my... I'm sorry, I just suddenly heard, like, a little dog whimper. I'm worried now. God. Fuck, I should probably start this over.